What do you do when someone throws a subtle insult your way right in front of a crowd? Do you freeze, retaliate, or silently wonder how to maintain your dignity without stooping to their level? What if I told you that moments like these, however uncomfortable, are actually golden chances to command respect without saying a word? We've all been there. Maybe it was a sarcastic jab during a meeting or a joke at your expense that made the room laugh, but left you feeling invisible. In those moments, you've likely asked yourself, how should I respond? Not just to defend yourself, but to gain genuine respect, even from those who often overlook others' worth. Here's the truth. You're not powerless, far from it. In this video, we'll break down smart, grounded techniques rooted in the timeless teachings of Stoic philosophy. These strategies are more than coping tools. They're roadmaps to handling public disrespect with poise, confidence, and inner strength. You'll learn how to navigate these tense moments without losing your cool, and, more importantly, how to turn those moments into quiet demonstrations of self-worth. But first, we need to understand a critical truth behind why these situations happen in the first place. It's not always personal. More often, it's about power dynamics, people trying to lift themselves up by pushing others down. Whether it's in the workplace, your friend group, or even your family, this behavior stems from insecurity masked as confidence. Stoicism gives us a sharp perspective here. Respect isn't something you shout for. It's something you quietly earn by the way you carry yourself. As Marcus Aurelius once said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That calm, collected strength? It's your greatest weapon, but it's not just about handling the bad moments. It's about creating a presence where people instinctively know you're not to be disrespected, that you're someone who understands your value and won't waver in the face of passive aggression or cutting remarks. Now let's take this one step further. How do you actually build that quiet presence? How do you communicate self-worth without saying a word? Let's turn to the next section and uncover the first Stoic strategy to make that happen. Just as we explored earlier, earning respect isn't about clever comebacks. It's about how you maintain composure in the face of disrespect. Now, let's shift our focus to practical, real-world strategies that will help you stand your ground and respond with both grace and strength. 1. First, impressions matter more than you think. How people perceive you often begins before you say a single word. And surprisingly, it's less about what you say and more about how you present yourself. Picture this. You're attending a high-stakes networking event. The room is full of unfamiliar faces. Someone scans the crowd and approaches you with a warm smile, reaching out to shake your hand. But instead of standing, you stay seated. You glance at their hand briefly before offering a half-hearted handshake. You didn't mean any harm, of course, but unknowingly, you've just sent a signal that says, this interaction doesn't really matter to me, that small moment. It speaks volumes. The Stoics knew this well. To them, even simple gestures like standing up to greet someone or holding eye contact weren't just etiquette. They were quiet declarations of confidence and self-respect. When you rise to meet someone eye to eye, you're saying without words, I acknowledge your presence. I respect this moment. It's subtle, it's powerful, and it works. Let me share a real-life example. At a professional seminar I once attended, the goal was networking. One man stood out, not because of what he said, but because of how he behaved. Whether he was shaking hands with a senior executive or thanking a staff member who poured his coffee, he always stood up, looked people in the eye, and was fully present in the interaction. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't rehearsed, but it made an impact. People were drawn to him. They respected him, and they listened when he spoke, not because he demanded attention, but because he earned it through quiet self-assurance. Now, contrast that with another attendee. This person stayed seated for every greeting. He was bright, well-spoken, and clearly qualified. But that one habit, remaining seated, created an invisible wall. Others unconsciously read it as indifference. Despite his capabilities, he struggled to make the same impression. This isn't about performance, it's about presence. Your body language, your gestures, they speak before you do. And the Stoics remind us, how you show up reflects how you see yourself. Up next, we'll explore the second Stoic strategy, one that reveals how your inner mindset silently shapes every interaction. Ready to go deeper? Let's continue. 2. The power of a firm gaze. Responding to interruptions with presence, as we just saw, a simple act like standing up to greet someone isn't just about social etiquette. It's a reflection of your self-respect and your awareness of others' worth. These small moments carry big meaning. Now, let's go deeper. Standing up isn't merely a polite gesture. It's a subtle but powerful way of saying, I see you and I see myself as someone who matters. It affirms not only the value of the other person, but your own confidence and presence in the interaction. This is where Stoic wisdom becomes incredibly practical. The Stoics didn't waste energy on things outside their control. They mastered the art of focusing only on what they could influence. And in this case, that's your behavior, your body language, your presence, and the quiet strength you convey through even the smallest actions. So, how do you live this out? Start small. Everyday encounters offer perfect opportunities to practice. Whether you're in an office meeting, catching up with a friend at a cafe, or even logging into a virtual call, be fully present. Stand when you greet someone. Make eye contact. Carry yourself with calm, collected energy. These actions, though simple, leave a lasting impression. They show people that you respect both yourself and them. And that kind of respect, the kind that comes from quiet confidence, is far more powerful than anything you can say out loud. Stoicism reminds us, live intentionally. Pay attention to the small things. Let your actions speak for your values. So next time you're introduced to someone, don't just nod or wave. Rise to the moment. Look them in the eye. Let your presence say what words cannot. Now, let's move to the second strategy. What should you do when someone rudely interrupts you in public? It's a scenario we've all faced. You're speaking, making your point, and suddenly someone cuts you off. It throws off your rhythm, and worse, makes you feel dismissed or disrespected. The instinctive reaction, for most people, it's to snap back, raise their voice, or visibly show frustration. But here's the problem with that. It usually backfires. It escalates tension, draws negative attention, and undermines your composure. So, what's the Stoic way? Instead of reacting emotionally, pause. Don't say a word. Just turn and meet the person's eyes with a calm, firm gaze. This isn't a glare, it's not aggressive. It's a confident, grounded look that says, I saw that, and I'm not rattled. Because here's the Stoic truth. Real strength isn't about overpowering someone else. It's about mastering your own emotions. That pause, that look, it's powerful. It shifts the dynamic. Without saying a word, you communicate authority, self-control, and confidence. People notice, and more importantly, they remember coming. Up next, we'll explore exactly how this pause and gaze technique works in real-life situations, and why it often earns you more respect than the sharpest comeback ever could. Let's continue. As we discussed, a steady, confident gaze can speak louder than a heated reply. When someone interrupts you, the power lies not in shouting over them, but in pausing, holding your ground, and letting silence do the talking. When you meet an interruption with calm composure, you send a clear message. I noticed what happened, and I won't be disrespected. It's subtle, yet it can completely shift the energy of the conversation. You're not reacting impulsively, you're demonstrating control, and that alone can make the other person take a step back and reflect. Let me share a moment from personal experience. It was a family dinner. We were all relaxed, sharing stories, laughing. I was in the middle of telling a funny memory when a relative suddenly jumped in, cutting me off to share something unrelated. At first, I felt thrown off, like the floor beneath my words had vanished. But instead of interrupting back or raising my voice, I paused. I simply looked at them with a calm, focused gaze. I didn't say a word. The silence lasted just a few seconds, but those few seconds carried more weight than any argument could have. My relative quickly realized they had cut in at the wrong time. They paused, apologized, and invited me to continue. From that point on, the dinner flowed smoothly. No tension, no drama, and yet the dynamic had shifted. I had quietly reclaimed the conversation. This technique is especially effective in group settings, at meetings, social events, even virtual calls. Why? Because when you remain composed while others get flustered, your presence becomes magnetic. You draw attention without asking for it, and you don't have to raise your voice to be heard. Stoic philosophy teaches us that our power lies in our response. We don't control others' behavior, but we can control how we carry ourselves. Body language, silence, eye contact, these are your tools, and when used with intention, they set boundaries without hostility. Once the interruption has passed, don't just move on awkwardly, reclaim your space. A simple line like, "Let me pick up where I left off," does two things. It signals confidence, and it subtly reminds everyone that your voice matters. It's not about embarrassing the other person. It's about creating a respectful atmosphere where everyone knows interruptions won't shake your composure, and disrespect won't go unnoticed. That's the beauty of this approach. It doesn't rely on force. It's powered by calm clarity. When others see you handle difficult moments like this, they begin to adjust their behavior too. Not because you demanded it, but because you modeled it. Stoicism reminds us, real strength shows not when things are easy, but when you're tested, and still choose grace over anger. Now, let's continue and explore the next technique, one that deals with a much trickier challenge. Passive-aggressive comments designed to make you doubt yourself. Ready? Let's dive in. We just saw how handling interruptions with composure can earn respect without saying much. But what happens when someone tries to humiliate you, not through interruption, but with a joke designed to embarrass you in front of others? Let's talk about that. 3. When someone tries to humiliate you with a joke. Stay calm, take control picture. This, you're sitting among friends, enjoying a lighthearted evening. Suddenly, someone decides to crack a joke at your expense, digging up an embarrassing story from the past. The room erupts in laughter, but you're left feeling exposed. Your first instinct might be to lash out or shrink into silence. But here's where Stoic philosophy offers a surprisingly effective strategy. I remember one such moment vividly. It was a casual meetup with some old friends. Out of nowhere, one of them brought up an awkward story from our school days, a moment I wasn't particularly proud of. The laughter came quickly, and I felt my face burn. The instinct to fire back was strong. But then, a Stoic principle came to mind: what doesn't harm your essence isn't worth your concern. So instead of reacting emotionally, I smiled gently, stayed composed, and pretended not to have heard the full story. I calmly asked, "Could you repeat that?" That one question changed everything. The moment my friend had to retell the joke, its effect fell flat. The punchline lost its power. The laughter quieted. People started to pick up on the awkwardness. The storyteller began to stumble, realizing the joke wasn't landing anymore, and that maybe it had crossed a line. This strategy works because it shifts the spotlight. By staying calm and asking them to repeat the joke, you're not only showing that you're unbothered, you're making them reflect on their behavior. Without any harsh words, you've flipped the dynamic. You've exposed the disrespect, not by attacking it, but by letting it unravel on its own. It's a graceful move and a powerful one. More importantly, it protects your dignity. You're not stooping to their level, nor are you playing the victim. You're showing quiet strength, exactly what Stoicism teaches, that real power is found in self-mastery, not reaction. So how do you put this into practice? Start by reminding yourself that not every jab needs an immediate counter. A brief pause can be your greatest ally. Let silence hang for a moment. It's not weakness, it's space for awareness. And when you do speak, do it with calm, measured confidence. There's no need to raise your voice. Your poise says enough. Now that we've explored how to disarm public humiliation, let's move on to a deeper challenge. How to respond when someone subtly undermines you with passive-aggressive remarks. This next strategy might surprise you. Let's take a closer look. Earlier, we explored how calmly asking someone to repeat a mocking comment can quietly dismantle their attempt to embarrass you. That same principle, grace under pressure, extends even further when someone tries to provoke you directly. 4. When someone tries to provoke you, redirect with purpose. Sometimes disrespect isn't cloaked in humor, it's sharp, calculated, and designed to sting. And when that moment comes, your response becomes a defining choice. Imagine this. You're at a family gathering. Everyone's enjoying the evening, catching up. Then suddenly someone makes a pointed remark about a failure in your career. The words hit like a blade, piercing through a wound you've worked hard to heal. And now, every eye is on you, waiting to see how you'll react. Here's what most people do. They defend, they explain, or they argue. But you, armed with Stoic discipline, do something different. You pause, You smile slightly, and then you ask, "Hey, does anyone know a good bakery nearby? I was thinking of picking something up for the next get-together." That one question? It shifts the entire room. The person who tried to provoke you is left confused. The tension fizzles out. Conversations move on. And you just redirected a potentially damaging moment without a single defensive word. This isn't about avoidance, it's about mastery. You've taken control not just of the situation, but of yourself. This technique, known as conversational redirection, is surprisingly powerful. It works because it disrupts the instigator's rhythm. They expected drama, they expected a reaction, but instead they got composure, they got curiosity, they got a conversation about baked goods. It's clever, but more importantly, it's grounded in Stoic wisdom. Stoicism teaches us that our true power lies in what we choose to focus on. We don't have control over the remarks people make, but we do control how we respond. And in moments like these, a well-timed question isn't just a tactic, it's a signal. It tells the room, "I'm not here to fight, I'm here to rise above." As Epictetus wisely said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. So next time someone tries to corner you with a loaded comment, don't take the bait. Redirect the moment with calm confidence and watch how quickly the balance shifts in your favor. Up next, we'll look at another situation many of us face. Subtle power plays and condescending tones that quietly chip away at your confidence. There's a Stoic strategy for that too, and it's one of the most empowering yet. Let's explore it. That last technique, redirecting with a calm, unrelated question, is subtle yet incredibly effective. It allows you to disarm tension and reclaim control without conflict. But why does it work so well? The brilliance of this strategy lies in its quiet disruption. When you pose an unexpected question in the middle of someone's attempt to provoke you, you derail their momentum. Their thoughts scatter, their plan crumbles, and just like that, the mood shifts. Even more important, you remain composed. Your tone stays natural. Your energy stays grounded. You haven't ignored the moment. You've simply chosen to move through it on your terms. And in doing so, you send a strong, unmistakable message. You're not easily shaken. This is where respect is quietly earned. But here's the key: authenticity. If your response feels stiff or scripted, people will sense it. The technique loses its power, so keep it simple. Your comment or question should feel like a natural part of the conversation. Maybe it's a casual observation about the music in the background. Maybe it's something as light as, "Has anyone tried that new cafe on 3rd Street?" The goal isn't to awkwardly dodge the situation, it's to glide past it with subtle confidence. And the effect? It extends beyond that single moment. Every time you choose not to engage in emotional tug-of-wars, you're building something greater than social poise. You're building inner resilience. You're teaching yourself and those around you that your peace of mind isn't for sale, that you won't be dragged into battles that don't deserve your energy. This approach reflects one of the deepest Stoic values: focus on what you can control. You can't stop others from saying rude things, but you can control your tone, your timing, and your focus. And every time you respond with calm clarity, you reinforce your self-worth and protect your dignity. So next time someone makes a biting comment meant to provoke, take a breath. Then ask a question so unexpected and neutral that it shifts the entire conversation. Watch as the power dynamics tilt back in your favor, not through domination, but through elevation. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Mastering this not only helps you navigate tension, it elevates how people see you. They begin to trust your presence. They respect your composure. And they quietly acknowledge that you're someone who cannot be easily rattled. Now, let's move on to the fifth and final tip, perhaps the most overlooked one of all. What if the most powerful thing you can do in some situations is to simply walk away? Let's explore. As we just explored, calm redirection can transform tense situations. But sometimes the most powerful response isn't to redirect, reply, or defend. It's to quietly walk away. 5. Walking away. A silent act of strength. Stoic philosophy teaches us that respect is not something you demand. It's something you embody. It begins with a deep understanding of your own worth. And when a situation consistently chips away at your dignity, stepping away isn't weakness, it's wisdom, it's strength. Let me share a story that illustrates this perfectly. A friend of mine, Sarah, was a gifted creative professional, sharp, dedicated, full of ideas. She landed a spot on a major project within her company, excited to contribute something meaningful. But from the very beginning, her manager treated her with dismissiveness. During meetings, he'd cut her off, ignore her suggestions, and ridicule her in front of others. At first, Sarah doubled down on her efforts, thinking, maybe I just need to prove myself more. She poured herself into her work, hoping her dedication would earn respect. But no matter what she did, the treatment didn't change. Then came a pivotal moment. During a key meeting, Sarah offered a thoughtful solution to a challenge the team had been struggling with. Once again, the manager waved it off. No explanation, no consideration, just dismissal. But this time, Sarah didn't stay silent. She didn't argue either. She quietly closed her laptop, stood up, and said with calm clarity, I'd rather give my energy to a space that values it. Then she walked out of the room. No drama, no shouting, just a quiet exit that left the entire room stunned. That same day, she submitted her resignation, not as an act of anger, but as an act of self-respect. Months later, she joined a different company, this time in a leadership position. There, her talents weren't just accepted, they were celebrated. Sarah's story isn't about quitting. It's about knowing when to stop fighting for respect in a place where it's never going to come. Walking away wasn't surrender. It was a declaration. I will not stay where I am not valued. That's what Stoicism calls us to do. We can't control the actions of others, but we can choose where to direct our energy, our time, and our presence. And sometimes, the bravest, strongest, and most dignified thing you can do is to leave, not to punish anyone, not to prove anything, but to honor yourself. Marcus Aurelius said it best, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Choosing to walk away from an environment that disrespects you is not a retreat. It's a powerful affirmation that you know your worth. You're not abandoning anything. You're stepping into something better. So how do you know when that time has come? That's exactly what we'll explore next. Let's take a closer look at the signs that tell you it's no longer about standing your ground, but about finding new ground altogether. As we just discussed, walking away isn't about giving up. It's about protecting your worth when staying starts to cost you your peace. But how do you know when that moment has arrived? It's when your consistent efforts to build respect are met with silence, with indifference. When every attempt to contribute, to be seen, to be valued, feels like you're shouting into the wind. If you find yourself constantly fighting just to be acknowledged, don't wait until the struggle chips away at your self-worth. Listen to your inner voice. Pay attention to what it's telling you, and if the moment comes, choose to leave. Because here's a truth most people overlook. Being absent but respected is far better than being present and diminished. Walking away is not weakness. It's a firm, dignified boundary. Stoic philosophy doesn't just teach us how to control our tempers, it teaches us how to protect our value. It reminds us that we are not at the mercy of others' approval. We set the tone for how we are treated, and sometimes the most powerful way to demand respect is to stop asking for it in the first place. So, the next time you feel invisible, overlooked, or devalued, don't endure it in silence. Stand up, walk away, and show the world that your presence is not to be taken for granted. Because respect is never begged for. It is built by how you treat yourself. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever faced a moment when walking away was the hardest yet wisest choice? Have you learned to reclaim your worth in challenging situations? Share your experience in the comments, whether it's a personal win, a tough lesson, or a story of rising above. And if you're not sure what to say, just type, "I can do it," to let me know you've made it through this session. Your voice matters, your story matters. And together, we're building a community grounded in wisdom, growth, and the strength to turn every challenge into a new beginning. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.